Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to Strategic Command World at War, a turn-based World War II strategy game that allows you to play through the Second World War in two-turn increments as either the Allies or the Axis. It is January 1942 in our game. Japan has just entered the war, launching an air raid against a largely evacuated Pearl Harbor. The Japanese fleet was off the island of Hawaii after last turn, and so we raced our fleet back there to engage them in a large-scale surface engagement. We sank 2 Japanese fleet carriers, we crippled a third, and the exhaustion of our fleet was apparent there. We have 3 battleships about to be sunk, a 4th that may or may not be sunk. We have 3 carriers that their hulls are unarmed or unharmed, but their air wings are largely ravaged. And so the Japanese, I assume, will counterattack against us, and I would not be surprised if they sink. I mean, these 2 carrier air wings could well sink 3 warships, and then their battleships could sink the rest. So we might be about to lose the bulk of the American fleet, but at the very least, we did quite a bit of damage against the Japanese, inflicting a mini Midway, maybe more like a Coral Sea, against them early in the war. Meanwhile, the Japanese have already taken several key islands. They've taken Rabaul, they've taken Guadalcanal, they have taken, or will take this next turn, probably, the island of Java, Palembang. Singapore has Japanese troops landing there. The Japanese also put troops ashore at Hong Kong, counterattacking the Chinese, who have driven them pretty far back. The Japanese have been driven back from the gates of Changsha. They've been driven all the way in, losing Amoy, losing Canton, threatening to lose Foochow. They've lost quite a bit of their Chinese holdings in the south. In the north, things are going better for the Japanese. They've taken Paotao and could drive into the interior of China up there. Meanwhile, there's a much more even fight going on in and around Sian and Yichang, right near Chengchao. In Russia, the situation is bleak. The Germans are clearly overwhelming our Russian forces, and so we have pulled back toward the gates of Moscow. The hope is that the winter weather will slow the Germans and give us time to reform our forces. Likewise, we are being driven back to the gates of Leningrad. Depending on what the Germans do this next turn, they may well cripple our forces at Leningrad and take the city, and they will probably get up toward, like, Kaluga, right along the front line in Russia, hopefully not with enough energy to attack our troops that just pulled back there. In the south, things look a little bit better. They're not pressing as hard in that direction, but there's a little bit of fear on my part that these tanks could drive north toward Kursk and then around our flank at Vorjaya, threatening the entire line there at Stalingrad, just basically perhaps by bypassing me. And I don't really have... I mean, I could pull these troops into Kursk, but they'd probably die if I do that. I'm hoping the Germans can't quite drive that far in this weather and with whatever their logistical train is, because I really don't want to evacuate my front line here. So we'll have to see. Might make more sense to pull back behind the Don River, but I don't want to quite give up Rostov there yet. Meanwhile, in the Atlantic, the Americans are preparing for a cross-Atlantic transfer of forces. 2 armies, the 1st and 2nd Army. The 1st Mechanized Army is also getting ready to go on transports along with the 2nd U.S. Corps. We've got some airborne units, or air units, sorry, that are likely also getting ready. The main problem is we don't have any headquarters units, so even if we start transferring troops across, their ability to fight effectively is going to be pretty limited. I was thinking of landing near the Spanish coast to go after Madrid and knock Spain out of the war early. We could also alternatively go for Rome and try and knock Italy out of the war. That might more directly aid the Russian front. The problem is, without any headquarters units, they're going to be far less effective. The British do have headquarters units where they're having a fair bit of success in North Africa. They've driven the Italians all the way back to Tripoli. The Africa Corps is almost destroyed. I'm hoping this next turn we can finish off the war in North Africa and wipe out the Africa Corps in Libya, and we haven't yet gone to war with the Vichy French yet, and so Algiers, Tunis are both neutral. And I was hoping I could mount these guys up on transports and send them against Italy or Spain, but I'm not sure how realistic that is. I don't know if the ports can even support loading up amphibious troops in the Med. I have also been working on putting some British troops along the Channel coast here to try and maybe support an invasion of of Spain through through the Bay of Biscay. The British don't have long-range transports, I don't think, yet. So that is something that would be slowed, but we probably have enough sea power and air power there to support that kind of a landing on the coast, maybe at Ferrol or at Bilbao, but that's yet to be seen. Gibraltar is holding out, but probably if they hold out in one more turn this turn, then they'll probably fall the following turn, which will free up the Spanish army, the bulk of the Spanish army, for duties potentially on the Eastern Front, which would not be great. Anyway, that's the situation right now in January of 1942. We've already done our turn. We've already spent our money. So now it's more about ending the turn and seeing what the AI does. Air Officer Commanding-in-Chief, Coastal Command. We could improve the safety of our convoy routes by increasing the strength of Coastal Command through deploying a maritime bomber at Reykjavik in Iceland. With a base there, Coastal Command should be able to make a significant step toward closing the Mid-Atlantic Gap, providing air cover over a large area of the ocean to assist the Battle of the Atlantic. Deploying maritime bombers at Reykjavik will cost us 100 MPPs at 50 MPPs for 2 turns. Do you want to increase Coastal Command by forming this unit? If you say yes, then you can use the maritime bomber to launch reconnaissance missions against likely U-boat locations. It will be best to research and upgrade this unit with long-range aircraft as to extend its strike range. The unit in Icelandic service is in Icelandic service and cannot be operated for use elsewhere. I guess it will be useful, especially if we're trying to cross the Atlantic with American forces. Office of the Secretary of War. The conflict in Asia is escalating and the Japanese have taken control of Indochina, which severs our trade links with China. The danger we face is that China may lose more ground until we provide more support, and to remedy this, we think we could use an alternative route through Burma from Rangoon via Mandalay to Lashao to Kunming. As long as these locations do not fall into Japanese hands, China will receive 60 MPPs worth of supply every turn via this route, which is commonly known as the Burma Road. For every turn that supplies arrive this way in China, Chinese national morale is boosted by 250 points. Unfortunately, providing the infrastructure to enable the supplies to reach China this way will cost us 175 MPPs. Only 35, though, over 5 turns. So we probably should do this. Oh my goodness, all the events and decisions! With the enemy forces advancing through the Baltic to within striking distance of Leningrad, now would be a good time to make preparations to feed the city's defenders in the event of the enemy laying siege to the city. We could stockpile food and supplies at Volkhov to the east of Leningrad for a cost of 35 MPPs, so that during the winter the city should be able to get supplies across Lake Lagoda directly into the city. To succeed, we will need to ensure that Volkhov remains in our hands and that we retake it should it fall to the invader. Sure. Germany is constructing the Atlantic Wall defenses. Engineers are completing fortifications in northern China. The Soviet winter strikes. Yeah! Come on, give me that boom boom. It's a sweet, sweet sound. You hear the death of the German soldiers in the winter. Hopefully, it would be great if, like, it's like the winter strikes. So not only do the Germans lose a ton of men, but they also can't move. That'd be ideal. Axis raiders are disrupting our convoys to the UK. USA is developing production technology level 2. Soviets making progress in spying and intelligence. Okay. Well, I guess we'll see what the Germans do in Russia following the winter striking. Calculating supply. Well, they're still advancing. They took Kursk. You know, all the Japanese are advancing all over the island of Java. They haven't yet attacked the Dutch forces at Batavia yet, however, which is the capital there, so technically the Dutch won't surrender there yet. Meanwhile, the Japanese carrier off the coast of Manila, hitting our sub and a fleeing cruiser there. There's another Japanese carrier off Singapore going after the Dutch Navy in the Dutch East Indies. Japanese are moving against our battleships near Pearl Harbor with their surface forces. They attacked it twice and surprisingly didn't destroy it yet. Their battleship does finish it off as they're sort of moving west. Okay, so they get a second battleship with their surface elements. I wonder what their carriers are going to do. Are they going to try and continue? It looks like they're trying to move away from Pearl. That seems to be their goal, is to get further away. So at this point, it looks more like they're trying to escape, at which point I think the loss of 2 battleships, if they're going to escape, is well worth the damage we did to them. I mean, they lost way more income last turn than they received. And, you know, obviously a war of attrition for the United States against Japan is ideal. The one caveat with that being is the Axis seem far stronger right now than they were historically economically relative to the Allies at this point. So that's still a challenge that has to be overcome. Japanese subs are operating in the Coral Sea, strategic bombing deep into the heart of China. I've got so many headquarters in China that I don't have enough. I need more troops, really. Meanwhile, tactical air for Japan is getting more effective in China, by the looks of it. German tactical air is focused in the south of Russia, interestingly enough. Artillery against our headquarters there at Yaku. German armor advancing in the south near the Don River. Doing some damage to that Russian unit there. Didn't quite finish it off, though. Japanese are trying to finish our forces off in Davao. I didn't realize I had a fighter unit there. Apparently I missed that. Attacks in southern China. Germans trying to finish off our fortress garrison there near Poltavsk. They do, but it takes them 3 turns of attacks, so that should slow again further into Russia their advance, as other units are sort of eaten up trying to consolidate their rear. Japanese Marines do finally attack Batavia, the capital in Java, but they fail to destroy the unit there. More German units attacking our anti-aircraft near Smolensk, but again, so far, failing to destroy it. The attack on Gibraltar continues. Oh no! Gibraltar is gonna fall. They destroyed our garrison unit there. They also drove our garrison unit out from the border of Hong Kong. Italian armor in Russia! There goes Gibraltar. I'm assuming that'll be a big morale hit. I also don't know if that hinders our ability to move in and out of the Med, because that could severely limit my ability to launch an offensive against the Italians via the Americans. We may have to go for Spain. Further advances in Russia, although not as rapid as I had feared thus far. This seems like a turn where the Germans really have had to kind of pause, which makes sense because when you see the winter striking in Russia, the Germans lose like 10 units, lose like 4 HPP or whatever hit points or something like that. They lose a ton of casualties. All right, so their carriers are escaping. I wonder if the battleships are still there. Maybe we can focus on something and wipe it out. Be great if we could do more damage to their fleet before it escapes. The loss of Gibraltar impacts British national morale. Japanese forces invade the island of Borneo and Brunei surrenders. Bataan completely occupied by Japan. The fall of Corregidor, way early. But it doesn't really give... It gives you like a fortress in Corregidor, but all it is a headquarters unit anyway, so it's not like it's that great. China lost the 10th Army, the 12th Corps. Russia lost the 9th Corps. The Americans lost a light cruiser Marblehead and the battleship California in Oklahoma. Transports spotted off the coast of Japan. Intelligence everywhere! Couldn't it just, like, throw everything on the map without making everything an event? Our commando units are full of volunteers from the services eager for the fight. There are also men from many other countries who have joined, including Poles, French, Czechs, Belgians, Dutch, Norwegians, and even some Germans. If our commandos are to commence operations, then they'll need some funding for equipment and proper training. At Ankara in the Scottish Highlands, this will cost us 50 MPPs. Would you like us to authorize the expenditure? If you say yes, commando raids will start taking places against Axis-occupied Europe. These will target Norway, Belgium, France, and if Spain is Axis, Corona. Royal Marines will also attack Bordeaux in December 1942, representing the raid of the Cockshell Heroes. Okay. Meanwhile, the USSR does get a new army, which is great. I think this might be the first turn in the war that the USSR has gained more reinforcements than it has lost. Where do we want to put them? Maybe near Novograd. Pull these troops back. Reinforce these troops in the south. The one advantage that we have is because we didn't win the Winter War, or we didn't press like for hard terms against the Finns in the Winter War. The Finns are not on the Axis side, which is very nice. Spending a lot of money on reinforcements here, but I do need to get my troops up to strength. The question is, would we be better off like upgrading our troops or something like that? Apparently I don't have level 2 weapons for the Soviets yet, so upgrading may be less relevant. So, I guess reinforcements it is. These fighters need to upgrade, though. Okay, I'll upgrade those engineers. So we're spending the vast majority of our Russian reinforcements, or we'll pull back that anti-aircraft unit. Hopefully they don't quite hit the front near Russia yet, although our troops are having some time to dig in here. Pull my armor back a little bit. Infantry into Rezhev. These troops near Orel fall back. I'm going to pull these guys back toward Voronezh to protect the flank north of Kursk. I don't know if what they have down near Sevastopol would be ideal to know. So they do have one armored unit there. Go ahead and bombard these Stukas with our naval units. Then pull back into harbor. Can't upgrade those guys, I guess, when they're adjacent to the enemy. See, I'd like to reinforce these guys, but I'm worried they'll just get attacked and destroyed. It'd be ideal if we could actually advance to here. So if I move here... Yeah, that didn't accomplish anything. I had hoped to shorten the front by a hex by driving this core of the Germans back, but that did not work. If I just reinforce the Stalingrad Corps, however, it's a pretty good likelihood, because they lose so much experience and readiness, they will just get destroyed. If I could pull them off the front line, great, but I don't have anything to replace them with, I think is the concern. I mean, maybe zone of control will prevent him from being able to move into here. I guess that's my hope. I don't have any other reinforcements I can move that way. Shy of like operating, or I can't even operate these guys. They're not on a rail line. They've got to block the passage across the Caucasus anyway. I don't think we have any other Russian units in the east that we could move. Would have been real great to not have to move those Russian troops in the east and attack the Japanese there, but we just didn't have the manpower. Also, the fact that Finland isn't in the war protects our northern front, too. Okay. That kind of does it for the Russian front, I think. We have 192 points left for the Russians. Do we want to spend it on research of infantry weapons to try and make that happen quicker? Infantry warfare might be a good thing to invest in. We really need to get that up a little bit. Armored warfare too, but there's only so much I can do in a single turn. So we'll leave that as is. We will move to North Africa, where we're trying to finish off the German corps here. Should be relatively easy to finish these guys off. Alright, so we'll finish the German Africa Corps off there. The Italians in Tripoli Maybe that was dumb. I just bombarded them. I don't know what I did. I did 2 damage of something. Moving our artillery up. These guys already attacked. So it doesn't look like I can quite finish off. It doesn't look like I can quite finish off the North African troops. I mean, I would rather reinforce. Actually, I'll do that. Move these guys here to help with zone of control. Okay, so maybe we can finish off Tripoli next turn. Their supply will probably drop. That might be helpful. Meanwhile, Spain and Gibraltar have fallen, which will only strengthen the Germans out there. I really need long-range aircraft. I do have it, though, so that'll help there. This battleship suffered from enemy attacks, so we'll move him out of there. Move these carriers. I need better weather, really, too, for the British there. How much money do the British have? Not much money. Very little money, really. I don't have any intelligence over the channel either. Oh, that destroyer there. Move these guys over to Ireland. I'm hoping they can't attack these troops in port. I wonder if their readiness drops the longer they spend in port or on transports. Not sure. I can put guys on in Haifa. I can put them on transports. So we just got a new army there. Likewise, I can put these guys on transports all the way down in Mogadishu. So we'll do that. I think I'm going to send the British, the BAI, to Burma to strengthen our line there against the Japanese. Oh, shit. I didn't actually get them unloaded. I didn't even get them to the port. Damn it, I hope they don't die at sea. Ugh. That was stupid. Alright. Yeah, I don't know what the requirements are to load troops amphibiously. Probably says in the rules somewhere. Alright, so the British spent most of their money there. Spend what little we have left upgrading or slowly repairing a battleship there, battlecruiser there. American long-range transports can begin crossing the ocean. Move down toward the Azores. The Azores enemy territory now, actually. Oh, it says they're allies, so they're probably Portuguese. Which Portugal is still neutral. So if I wonder if these rules change, though, with the fall of Gibraltar. Like, I don't know how that impacts anything. We'll head south of the Azores with our transports there. Hopefully to avoid any German subs. Get our destroyers out front as a shield. Hopefully building a little bit of a wall of shipping around our transports to prevent the Germans from being able to attack them while they're at sea. Even though battleships aren't really anti-submarine vehicles. Feels like it's going off a little bit half-cocked there. Meanwhile, in the Pacific, we still have Japanese light cruisers here. Detected enemy battleships. So with the weather being what it is, I don't think I can actually attack with my air forces there against these German ships, or Japanese ships. So I might be better off focusing on this cruiser. Ah! More battleships! Shit. Run away. It's amazing how ineffective even like a level 2 surface warship is against other enemy surface warships. It's like, well, what's the point? Hey, no damage dealt. Great. And it's all stormy. So my carriers can't do jack diddly. Assuming I shouldn't attack with... I can't attack. Apparently. Move our carriers into Pearl. And it looks like we're not going to do any further damage to the Japanese fleet, which is going to get away. Although maybe we'll do some damage to one of their light cruisers. I mean, we gave some damage to their light cruisers, but we definitely didn't destroy them or anything. Meanwhile, spending all my British money without even looking at the Pacific means that I spent all my money for Australia already. Engaging Japanese destroyers here near Rabaul. Doing a little bit of damage there. Can't reinforce the Dutch there. Don't have anything left. Hey, we did a little bit of damage to the Japanese there. Maybe it was their air wing or something. I'm not sure. Dutch subs fail. I'm just trying to do damage, and instead I'm getting myself killed. Pull back down the peninsula. Could drive inland, I guess. I need headquarters units in Burma, which I don't really have. I don't have any headquarter unit in India either. Which is going to be the key limitation of my ability to fight effectively there. Meanwhile, in China. Okay, so they did bypass my line there. and took the city of Hanai. But they also, I think, got themselves surrounded there. That Japanese army is 1-3. Swap those units out. Got it! Nice! Another Japanese army destroyed in China. Good result there, my friends. So I think we pull these guys back. Move these troops forward. I'll take that. That was a good result. Very good result. We destroyed half of the 16th Japanese army in the south. Meanwhile, we have surrounded the Japanese at Hanang. Pull back into Changsha to prevent them from cheaply taking that city. Continuing to try and keep the pressure up on the Japanese near Fuchao, but we're not actually doing any damage. We are attacking these guys and dropping their morale. That's about it. Pull those guys back a little bit here. Maybe they'll try and help against the troops that are in Hanang that should be cut off. That might be an opportunity to destroy another Japanese corps. Pull this headquarters unit back. Move this corps at Taishu north. Alright, so I probably want to move these engineers north to build a fortification line near Ningxia, near Ningxie, if they try and drive inland from Paotao. The logistics of that are difficult. There's a lot of supply constraints up there in the north. Destruction of the Japanese army in this area should also hopefully help. Okay. So India doesn't have enough money for a headquarters unit. The United States needs one, but also does not have enough money for a headquarters unit. Does have enough money for a mechanized unit. So we are going to purchase that for the U.S. Soviets have enough money for a garrison, which, like, actually some garrisons probably would be helpful. So we'll actually purchase 2 garrisons as well. Mainly to plug the lines. So it looks like next turn we'll get two garrison units and an army. The following turn we'll get 2 more armies in Russia, so that should help. The British can get another corps in India. Although not with upgraded infantry weapons, but we'll purchase that. British have some reinforcements coming in February at Sydney. They've also got a fair number of troops in Australia that are just under strength that I need to spend some money on next turn getting up to strength. They've got 4 corps and a special forces unit and a headquarters unit. That's not insignificant, but it won't stop a Japanese invasion either, so I'm banking on the fact that I don't think that they will invade until they take some of these other bases first. Okay. Moving the BAI out of East Africa and into Burma should help, but again, I need a headquarter unit there. So I think the objective will be to bring Platt Actually, let's see if we can bring him next turn out of the Sudan. If we can bring him to the front in Africa right away, that should help. Or, sorry, in Asia, that should help. I think that's pretty much all we're going to do. Free French troops exist, in theory. I don't have any... I can't raise any new troops. I do a little bit of money with the French there. I don't really have enough money for any other research for anybody else. Probably don't want to drop this UK corps. So I think we're going to keep an eye on their readiness and morale and see what happens to them next turn. Because if their morale and readiness keeps going down, I don't want to leave them on transports or anything like that. Okay. Alright. And I move this army to Bristol so that we can put the BEF, the 1st Canadian Corps, Lord Gort's headquarter unit, and then the 2nd Corps that's already at sea. So we can put 2 corps in an army, 2 corps, an army, and a headquarter unit ashore in Spain, maybe. Once the weather gets a little bit better and I can sail my battle fleet out that way. We could also bring these American landing forces into Spain as well. Or again, we could go for Italy, which I think would be ideal because that'll have more of an effect on the Russian front. For example, this Italian tactical bomber unit. There's 2 Italian army units down here. If we knock them out of the war, that just like that would destroy an air unit and then 2 ground units on the Eastern Front, potentially more that I can't see. So we'll have to see how this all unfolds. But with that being said, that is going to do it for this episode. I hope you guys did enjoy. Let me know your thoughts as always. Also, I'm toying around, for those of you who didn't notice, I am toying around with a little bit of merchandise. I've never really done really much of anything from the channel outside of just doing videos. It's very much a hobby that I just enjoy doing. But I've been toying around on my Twitch channel. I've got an integration with Streamlabs, who does some of the bot stuff with some merchandise through them. But I also set up a Teespring with a pathetic storefront of 2 items, a sticker with my logo and a coffee mug, which I think looks pretty cool with my logo, with a dark background and then the logo on top of that. I don't know if I'll add more. The t-shirt stuff looks pretty stupid, and I'm not going to go full-fledged into merchandise or shilling for the channel or anything like that. But I will say that it is kind of cool, and there is an integration in YouTube, so you will see that below the description if that's something that interests you or not. I've also been debating throwing my Butcher logo on a coffee mug. I don't know if I need to check a little bit more closely, because there's some stuff about, like, if there's violence or whatever, you can't show that on YouTube. But I don't know if, like, a butcher with a butcher's knife and a little bit of blood is violence, or if that's like, hey, he's a butcher, so he's, you know, he's butchering stuff. But I can probably pull the blood out of there too. But I don't know. It looks cool to me, so I ordered a mug and some stuff and a mouse pad and a sticker for myself. And so I figured I would let you guys know that it's there, because I think, at least to me, and obviously it's my channel, so it's kind of cool for me to see my logo on stuff, that's there. So that's all I'll probably do there. I'm not really going to start pushing it on you guys all the time. But if you did notice that, that's my pathetic Teespring storefront at the moment. It's down below the channel. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for today's episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. Probably do a live stream well, by the time you're watching this on Saturday. Probably do a live stream Saturday night around 10 o'clock Central Standard Time of Ultimate Admiral Age of Sail. I went back and revisited the first 2 scenarios to get a little bit of a better start now that I understand the mechanics a little bit better, and so we'll pick that up at the same point in the campaign, but just a slightly different fleet configuration, and then that'll probably also be the video on Sunday. And then I would assume Monday I might have another War in the Pacific video. I'm guessing XTRG will probably have me the turn by then, but I'm not sure. So that's sort of the next few days looking ahead. Let me know, as always, if you're enjoying the series, what you think I should do in Russia, because it's probably going to be a few days before I come back to this, and or anywhere else in this game. But until next time, guys, this is the Historical Gamer saying once again, thank you for watching, and I'm out.